Welcome everyone to the call. In the call tonight, as I just mentioned, we're go through the market a little bit, but in the main, I'm going to talk about WoW. And so, just continuing on from what I was saying, there's a lot of macro information that would suggest that something's got to give in the economy, but probably on the lead up to election, they'll do everything to stave that off, and there's every chance they reduce rates, which and start printing again. And if that were to happen, you would expect that risk on assets such as the stock market and of course things like Bitcoin and the crypto market in general would go up very strongly. I've always been, for months now, been a believer that there has to be a big pullback first. We had a reasonable pullback recently, but in crypto terms, that was not a big deal. But at the same time, just so people get an understanding, Bitcoin came back by about 10%, and many altcoins went back by 30, 40, and even 50%. And that's what people really must understand is that, if Bitcoin sneezes, the rest of the crypto market get man flu. And so, it's to be aware of that. And, what happens if Bitcoin comes back by 20% or 30%? Can you imagine what happens to altcoins then? So, of course, there's no guarantees that any of that happens, but you should always be prepared for whatever the market can throw at you. And if you're all in, for example, on sort of mid cap, low cap cryptos, and Bitcoin did go back by 10, 15, 20% or more, then those altcoins will probably go back by 80% or more. And for some people, that might seem incredible if they haven't experienced that, but it happens and happens regularly. So, be prepared for that. If you feel like we mentioned a cryptocurrency and you go all in on it, and then the market pulls back, you're going to be going, oh my God, what happened there? That's the crypto market. If you believe in the project, you should be happy for that, because that means now you can put more money into it at a much cheaper price. But if you put all your money in straight off the bat, you won't have that opportunity. And that's why we always are on about dollar cost averaging in. So you don't put all your money in straight away. There could be a pullback. If there is, you can go in later. But also then, of course, there's diversification. You don't put all your money into one particular project. And so, that's the whole point, DCA in and diversify. If you do that, you have a great chance of being successful in crypto. You certainly increase your chances. But that's, somewhat we talk about when we talk about anything to do with WoW. What I want to do in this call is actually go into some of the detail on the NFTs and the tokens, because again, I've seen quite a lot of questions on what the NFTs are about, what the tokens are about, and there's a good bit of, I suppose, confusion as to why would you buy an NFT, why do you buy the token, what's in it, what's the positives, and what do each level sort of allow you to do. And so to do that, I'm actually going to share a screen and go onto our website. And bear in mind, all this information is on our website and all the information is in our white paper. So the information is actually out there if people, I suppose, use, all the information that we have out there and sharing. But just to, I suppose, bring people's attention to it, I'm just going to go to it ourselves. So this, of course, is the website, and it's just simply wealthofwisdom.io. And on there, you can see up here, the first tab next to the homepage is levels. So let's just click on that and see what comes up. So here you can see they're, talk about the WoW Access Pass and what they're about. Generally, what you get from buying an NFT. So obviously, I'm going to cover and talk about the NFT initially. So you've got, what do you get by buying an NFT? Well, across the board on all the NFTs, what you get is information on researched early stage crypto and NFT projects with targeted 20x growth. So what we are doing is we are finding really good projects before they go on exchanges. We do all the research. We go to great lengths, and I in particular will look at, their white paper, their tokenomics, their partnerships, the area of crypto they're in. Is it an area of perceived growth in the near future? I meet their team. I, of course, talk to the founders. I'll fly to wherever they are in the world and go to their offices and do all that research. And if at the end of all of that, really like the project, and if I believe, they have the capabilities, they have the funding, they have everything they need in place in order to make this at least a 20x project, with the possibilities of 100x, and of course, it doesn't mean it'll hit any of those targets, but that's the plan and that's what we're looking for. Well, then at that stage, I'll go and negotiate a price on behalf of the overall community, myself included, and buy into it through the company as in WOW, and offer it to our community. And then the community, of course, can make up their own mind. They can look at the information, they can do their own research, and if they're happy with the level of research that they have and information they have, we show them how they can invest directly with the company. That's important. The money doesn't come to us and we give it to them. The individual has a direct relationship with the company. But that also means then, we're not that company's customer service. If you have an issue or something you want to follow up on, you have direct access to them. You talk to their customer service, not to us. So it's important to understand that you've that direct relationship. It's an active position that you're getting involved in. The NFT gives you all the information, that you need and how you do it, and then you have that direct relationship. Any money you make from that interaction is completely all yours. We don't, most projects that are in the position we're in, they'll charge 2 or 3% a year on whatever money you have involved, and they'll charge 20 or 30% on the profits. We take a big fat zero. So we have a very different position here. We have a lot cleaner, and it's a decentralized decision for you. You don't have to come through us, and I think that's important. On top of that, like I said, we give you an instruction how to get involved in the project. You're directly connected to us through the Telegram chat, and of course the newsletters to follow. And of course, with the NFT, you also get an airdrop of tokens. We'll talk about the tokens in a little while. What I want to do now is very specifically talk about level 1 and level 2. There's 5 levels, but I think if I explain the differences between 1 and 2, then it becomes pretty automatic, the differences between the rest. But let's look at the first one. So level 1 access pass costs $988. So we call it 1,000 for a simple figure. So for under $1,000, you get this level 1 access pass. It lasts for 12 months. You can put up to $1,000 in per project. So let's talk about that, because we've had loads of questions on this. Of course, you can't put more than $1,000 per project. That's what the limit's about. It doesn't mean you can't put less. That will be up to the project themselves. Some projects will have a minimum buy-in. For some, it might be maybe $250. For some, it might be $500. For some, it might be $1,000. Usually $500 or $1,000. There have been 2 projects that we've been involved in that have been more than that. In other words, one was an NFT that we're selling for $3,500. Now, obviously, if you're in level 1, that project's it's not going to be in your remit. You won't be able to buy something that's selling for $3,500. And there's nothing we can do about that. We're not the one that sets the level. We're setting the level for the NFT. We're not setting the level for the project. There was another one that was, it was also an NFT and was $5,000. So in those situations, some of the level 1 wouldn't be able to get into those. But just to be clear, the vast majority would be covered on the level 1, as in, up to $1,000. So hopefully that's pretty clear on that. On top of that, I want to add in you getting 1,000 tokens airdrop to you. So you buy the NFT, you pay for the NFT, but you're getting the tokens for free. Now, the beauty of that is this. It's my belief. It may never happen. I could be wrong, but it's my belief, and it's what we target and beyond. But I believe the value of these tokens over time will be worth more than what you've paid for the NFT. Not a guarantee. There's no certainty in that whatsoever. It's my belief. So what I'm trying to say to you is, potentially, you pay for this NFT, you get these tokens, and these tokens will be worth as much or more than what you paid for the NFT. But also, you get the information on all these various projects for 12 months, and you get the opportunity to put up to $1,000 into each one of those projects. So I believe that's huge value. And just to give an example, let's say you buy one of these and you put $1,000 into just one project. Let's say we show you 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and you decide only to put money into one and you put $1,000 into it. And let's just say, for argument's sake, it doesn't do particularly well, because our target, as we've stated, is to find projects that will do a 20x or more. But let's say this particular project, the only one you picked and the only one you invested in, and you put $1,000 into it and it did a 5x. Well, now you've paid $1,000 for the NFT that gave you the information to allow you to put the $1,000 into that project. We did the negotiation. You got into a project as if you were buying in with $1 million plus, because we're negotiating at that level. You only put in $1,000, and this thing does a 5x. In total, you've invested $2,000 and you've made 5. Not a bad day out considering you only invested in one project. But was this NFT good value in that example? Well, I think yes, you've just 2.5 extra money. However, it's more likely someone coming in at this level would put $1,000 into 5, 6, or 7 projects, depending on how many they get over that time period. And of course, if one does a 5x and one does a 20 and one does a 50 and maybe one goes to 0, which of course is possible, which is why we tell people diversify. It hasn't happened since we've had WoW and since well before we had WoW, but it's still possible. But in that example, you're going to have turned, your $1,000 into the NFT, and let's say $1,000 into 5 projects. And if one does a 10, one does a 20, one does a 5, one does a 0, you're going to have 30, 40, 50 grand out of the overall. Would that have been worth the 1,000 in it for the NFT? Of course. No guarantees any of that will happen, but that's the complete idea of this project. And we have the track record to prove that we're able to find those type of projects and more. And I'll touch on that in a little while as well. So look, hopefully that makes it clear on what a level 1 access pass is. Now I'm going to go to level 2, just to show the differences between the two. And I'll leave both of them on so we can see both of them here now. So in level 2, obviously it costs more. It costs just under $5,000 to buy a level 2 NFT. Why would you do that? Well, maybe you have a bit more money and you want to be able to put more than $1,000 in per project. Well, this allows you to put up to $10,000 per project. It doesn't mean you have to put in 10 grand when you put money into a project. You might decide to put $1,000 into whatever the project is. Or, if the project minimum is 500, you might decide to put 500 into that project. Or, like I said, you might decide to put in 3 grand or 5 grand or 10 grand. It's up to you. You have that flexibility because of the NFT you have. But again, if you put in 5 grand into this NFT, like maybe you're someone that has 20, 30, 40, 50 grand to put into different projects, or maybe more. Then if you're putting in, let's just say 5 grand per project and put in money into 5 projects. And again, if one of those is a 5x or a 10x or a 20x, one goes to 0, whatever, your money that you've put in will be turning into 200-300 grand, again, based on those results. Of course, there's no guarantees of that size money. It could be whatever. It's whatever the market will do. But if we continue to pick the projects like we've done in the past, then those numbers are very possible. And so you can see hopefully the differences between these two. It depends on a number of things, probably your experience in the crypto space, the amount of money you're planning to put into crypto in total. For some people, putting in $2,000 or $3,000 or $4,000 might be, a massive amount of money. And for somebody else, that wouldn't fit their appetite or the amount of money they want to put in. They might want to be able to put in 10 grand in every project that they see. And of course, it says here that the time limit on this is 15 months. Well, the good news is we're actually going to make that longer. Okay, so that's actually going to become 24 months. So good news there. So you're going from it being 15 months, we're actually going to make it 24 months. So now you're getting 2 full years of information for your 5 grand. So, and on top of all that, of course, you're getting 10,000 tokens. So if, for argument's sake, in the first example in level 1, if you had 1,000 tokens, and let's just say they went to $1, I'm not saying you're going to $1, we have targets of much higher, but let's just say they went to $1, then you'd have all your money back based on your NFT before you ever start to invest in anything else. If the same thing were to happen and you were in at level 2, well, you have 10,000 tokens, so you'd actually have $10,000 in that example. You'd actually have twice as much back as you put in. Again, I'm not saying that's definitely going to happen. It might happen. It might do much better. It mightn't go anywhere near that. We'll see. Time will tell. But my point is, this is our goal. When we were creating WoW, we wanted to give people ways of making money. And one of the ways, what we want to do is when people get into the project and back the project by buying an NFT, we're trying to find ways of ensuring that they get that money back in some way as fast as possible. And one way is they have the tokens, and if they become good value, they'll have at least their money back or more. But also then they also have all the other stuff. So in this example, 2 years of information, up to 10 grand per project. This really active and great way of making money in the crypto space. So that's hopefully explaining the differences and what it is you get for them. So, you know, going from level 1 to level 2, you're getting double the length of time. You can put 10 times in per project. You're getting 10 times as many tokens. It's a rewarding option. And then I'll quickly go through level 3, 4, 5. So level 3 is, call it 10,000, just under 10,000, but you're getting 10 times as many tokens. So again, if it were going to go to $1 now, you'd be making 10 times your money back on just the token alone. The time limit on this is also going to get extended from 24 months to actually 36 months. So now you're going to have 3 years of information for this NFT. You can put up to 25 grand per project. So again, if you've got deeper pockets and you want to put more money in per project, then you know you might want to be going up to this level. And that's, again, there the differences. You go up to level 4, you're looking at just under 33,000. But again, you're getting way more tokens. If, for argument's sake, you went to $1 here, you're getting 10 times your money back than what you would have paid for the NFT in the first place. Plus, this is now going to go to 60 months. You're actually getting 5 years of information, and you can put up to 100 grand per project. And finally, then you've got level 5. It's 100 grand. You're getting 1.5 million tokens. So if this were going to go to $1, you'll have done extremely well just on the NFT. But it's unlimited time frame. There's no lifespan on this. It's unlimited, and you can put up to 500,000 per project. Some people might look at that and go, "Why would anyone ever go for that?" We've sold a number of these, and I'm talking to another person right now with these, and these are actually limited to 20. We'll never have more than 20 people at this level. We're already gone through quite a number of these. And why do people go for these? Because some people have made a load of money, and a number of them are experienced crypto people who have made money in crypto before. They love the idea of what we're doing and that we're giving them, you know, that early stage access without them having to do all the work and find it. These are people with as much experience in the crypto space as me, but they don't have the time to go looking for these projects, or maybe not even the connections to do that. And so they're delighted to see someone else come and do all the work for them, and they can just follow it and vet the stuff themselves afterwards, and you know, put a lot of money into these projects if they wish to do so. We also have people like VCs, high net worths, and so on, that this is the way for them. There are people out there who don't have much of an idea of crypto, except they know they want to get involved in it. They have a huge amount of money, you know, people with millions, tens of millions and more. And we've been speaking to quite a number of people in this space, and they love this idea. It just takes all the work out of it for them, and they can come in and just do their thing. So hopefully that gives an idea of the differences between them. And look, quite honestly, the level 1 pass, it's not really a commercially viable thing for us. If it was something that, if we were making these decisions based on money, this level 1 wouldn't be there. But we're not basing on money. We're basing it on, we want to give as many people the opportunity to get on the ladder, see what we're all about, make some money, and if they choose to, they can step up the ladder if they want. They don't have to, but again, that option's there. And WoW has always been about choice for the individual, and give the possibilities to as many people as possible. And again, that's what we're trying to do here in WoW. So hopefully that has given people a pretty good sort of general overview on what that is about. What I'm going to do, I think this is probably a good time maybe to stop. And if anyone has any questions around the NFT before I go, you know, talk about anything else or talk about the tokens or whatever, maybe this is a good time to take a breather, and ask if anyone has any questions about any of that. You know, you can either unmute yourself and ask the question, type it in the group, whatever. How did you determine the cost of NFTs for each level? Research, information. I mean, at one stage, you know, we had a few levels, then we have a load of levels, then we came up with the 5 levels. Ultimately, how we came up with it was, again, level 1 wasn't really commercially viable. Level 3 is probably where our starting point should have been. We've shown this to VCs, and I think we're off for a game giving the information out that we're giving to people that have paid 5 grand or a grand or whatever. They're used to seeing in the traditional world, people would be paying 50 grand a year for this type of information for the likes of the S&P, stocks and shares and all the rest of it. We're giving information out, but we want it. They're about elite. They're about the elite and high net worths and accredited investors and all that jazz. We're not. We're here for everyone. We want to give everyone the opportunity. And so the level 1 and level 5, we wanted to have them in there to give people an opportunity to step up the ladder. And then obviously, the top levels, they're not for everybody. I understand that as well, but we also want to cater for the people at those levels. And so we're trying to cater for everybody. And we have people who are absolute beginners coming into this, who more than likely will go at one of the lower levels. We have beginners who've come into this, who've come in at a high level because they have a lot of money, they want to get into crypto and they see this as a good avenue. And then we have people who are very experienced in crypto, like I said, but are delighted for someone else to be doing the work. And we have experienced people coming in at the high levels, and we have experienced people coming in at the low levels, because while they might be experienced, there's plenty of people who have experience in crypto who didn't make money. And again, if in the early days, I would have been one of those people. And I wish there was someone doing what I'm doing now back in 2015 and 16 when I got involved, because if they had been, it would have saved me an absolute fortune and a hell of a lot of stress. So anyway, we're here now, and hopefully we can help as many people as possible through the mire of cryptocurrency. Which chain will the WOW token be running on? Yet to be announced, so I'm not going to announce it here. But what I will say is, it would be very interesting to ask the community what they think we should be going on, and the things to bear in mind, things that are really important are security, consistency of a blockchain. Of course, the cost has to be taken into account, the ease of use. There's many factors when it comes to, and by the way, like, we spoke at length within the team and the development team as to what was the right chain to go on. And it was quite a big debate, quite honestly. And even for myself, I was swayed over and back a little bit when we were looking at all of this back quite a number of months ago. But now we think we've picked something that ticks all the boxes from the point of view of security and consistency, but also hits it on price and functionality and ease of use. So, but that's yet to be announced. So we'll keep that one for another day. But a good question. Question. One second now. Are any of the NFT airdrop WOW tokens locked in for any period of time, or do you get immediate access from after launch? Good question. So yes, there is a lock, absolutely. Anyone that truly understands what WOW is about, and I would imagine the vast majority don't yet, but if you truly understand the way we've set this up, and the way we've set it up is completely unique, and that's not just me saying it, that's auditors, tokenomics experts, people with huge experience in the space. What we have set up is absolutely unique. So you can try and compare what we're doing with others, but there's nothing else out there that compares with us. So when you take that into the equation, if you understand our tokenomics model and our track record and what we're doing, the last thing you would want to do is sell the WOW token. Why do I say that? I'll try and explain it in a short term, but bear in mind, I'm going to do videos on different parts of the white paper. And by the way, if anyone had read the white paper and went into it in detail and understood it, they'd understand that you would not be selling WOW tokens. I'll try and explain why. If you have X amount of WOW tokens and you choose to stake them, you will earn passive rewards based on the success of the investments that we make on behalf of WOW. So when someone buys tokens, of course, they pay whatever for tokens, USDC, and they get the tokens. That could easily be the end of that relationship. That's what happens in most crypto projects. You go in and buy the token, they get the money, in the story. In ours, what we do is we take that money, invest it into the very same projects that we're speaking about, and of course, if things go as we expect, and again, based on our track record, that would be really positive, then again, we're looking for 20x or more average. Now, we've been beating that for years, but let's say we do a 20x on something. So for easy numbers, let's say we put $1 million into a project and it did I'll say a 21x to make easy maths here, because the profit then will be 20 million. That 20 million gets distributed like this. 20% gets distributed to the people who have staked their tokens. 20% goes to further development, finding new ways of making profit, and wherever that profit goes into the profit tab and gets distributed in the same way. But anyway, back to the 20 million from that's profit. 20%, which in that case would be 4 million, will get distributed to people that are staking their tokens. Why would you not stake your tokens? Why would you ever sell your tokens? when those tokens are giving you and you could call it a dividend or that type of payment every now and again. Every time we sell out of a good project, there's a dividend there being paid out to people that hold it. And the dividend is being paid in a stable coin, not in the WOW tokens. And there's a really specific reason for that I'll touch on in a minute. But you're receiving that money. So normally when you buy into a project, the only way, you buy a token, the only way you can, let's say the token goes up in value, the only way you can make money is by selling the token. That's it. You buy the token, you sell the token. In our case, you buy the token, you stake it, you get dividends, and those dividends will come out every so often, and you're making money. So you're getting money back on your investment without ever having to sell your actual initial tokens. On top of that, we are in the process of coming up with other things you can do with your tokens while they're staked. So we're going to come up with even more ways of creating value for you without ever having to sell your tokens. You still can then make the choice of selling your tokens if you wish, but we're giving you a lot of reasons why you wouldn't want to do that. But anyway, back to the tokenomics. Another part of the tokenomics that's really important. So there's 20% going to distribution to token holders and 20% going into finding new ways of making profit, which also benefits token holders. 10% of the money is going into a buyback and burn wallet, which what that simply means is, in that example I just gave, 20 million profit, well, 10% of that is 2 million. 2 million, imagine 2 million going onto the exchange to buy up our own token, buy up the WOW token and burning it. So now there's 2 million worth of buy pressure upwards on the token and 2 million worth of the token being bought and burnt. So now you have a reduced supply, increased demand. Anyone that knows anything about tokenomics, when that happens, the price of the asset goes up. I'm not saying for a second that the price will just go straight up. It'll do what every other thing does. It'll go in lines, but I do believe it will go up over time. And I think it'll go up well because we are creating a very strong internal demand. We're reducing the supply. We're also going to be creating a big external demand. And the people within the system are usually encouraged not to have their tokens in circulation. So you have a really, really low availability of tokens to sell and a high demand to buy those tokens. And if we get this right and people really understand this, then the value of that token has to go up significantly. I'm not saying it's a guarantee because it's not, the market will decide, but all things being equal based on what we're doing, that's what should happen. And so what I say is this, a tokenomics model can't make a poor project succeed. It won't make the price go up. But if you have a really good project, which we have, and we know we have, and the track record to prove it, then if you put in a really good tokenomics model underneath it, that's the fuel to the fire. That's what drives it absolutely nuts. And so when you add those two together, we have a unique proposition in what we do and the projects we find and the track record we have. We also have underneath that have a unique tokenomics model that has been described as, again, it was audited by Hacken. They're world renowned in the crypto space. They've given us their highest mark that they can give, and it's a mark they never give according to themselves. So they were blown away by our tokenomics model. So bottom line is, if we continue doing what we're doing as we have done in the past, obviously past doesn't predict the future, but hopefully it's a good indicator, then where this token goes could be very exciting. The other thing I mentioned a while ago is when we're talking about selling out of projects, normally what happens is you get paid out in the token of the company. So in other words, WOW tokens. But if you're getting out WOW tokens, but you want to cash some money out, what do you have to do? Sell the token. What's that do? Cause downward pressure on the value of the token. Well, we're almost doing the exact opposite. We're paying out in stablecoin. And so, yes, some people might cash that out. Absolutely fine, but it doesn't cause any downward pressure on their token. I believe many people will actually buy more WOW tokens, actually putting more upward pressure on the value of the token. So another really unique and key piece of what we've done. And I won't get into all the details of it now, but the other incentives that are there for people to stake and stake long-term and do that from the very beginning are really strong. And so we believe the vast majority of people will choose to stake. But just to actually go back and answer the question I was asked, when you buy the tokens, are some of them locked or whatever? For a lot of people that have bought in early into this project, their full 100% of their tokens are locked for 24 months. Yet they came in and bought them by the bucket load. Why? Because they understand what WOW is about and they understand the tokenomics model behind it. It makes sense. For people buying in at the pre-sale price now, 4 cent, which people can do, of course, but only for the next week to 10 days. We're going to have to close it off in advance of the TG, token generation event, happening in the first quarter of the month or thereabouts of next month. But in advance of that, we'll obviously have to cut that off. But for people buying at the 4 cent, there is a 80% of the tokens will be locked for 18 months and then vested out to you after that. Of course, 20% will be your decision. You can leave them unlocked, and when they go on exchange, you can choose to sell some of them, all of them, whatever you want to do if you wish. However, I think that wouldn't be the best choice, but you have the choice. You can, of course, take those tokens and stake those too, and get yourself to a higher band level, which gets you in more of the pools for the distribution. But again, it's your choice. And that's the beauty of everything we do in WoW. We leave it up to you. But in most cases, in any other project, when you have a token that's locked, you can do nothing with it. In our one, and this took huge amount of complexity in the development phase, which cost us way more money and caused a bit of delay in the overall project. We still chose to do it because we wanted people to have choice. And so people can actually, the tokens that are locked, they can actually stake them at the same time. So the whole purpose of staking, or why projects put staking in place, is to try and encourage people to take them out of circulation. They're already out of circulation when they're locked, but yet we're giving you the option to stake them and benefit from doing that. And that is the beauty. On top of all of that, you can also choose 2 types of staking: immediate staking or flexible staking. I won't go into all the details of this now because it'll take too long, but I'll be doing that in individual calls on each piece of it. But again, it makes massive sense to just do long term. But again, the choice is there. So that was a very long way of probably answering that question, but I covered a lot of information that I think was worthwhile anyway. So let me see if I can get back to where those questions were. Right. Where can we see the tokenomics of the WoW token? On the white paper, which is on our website. But the one caveat I'll say to that is we are very, very close to having the finalized white paper finished and uploaded on the website. So what's there now is slightly outdated. It's still worth the read, but the updated version should be going up there this week. And hopefully the finalized updated version. So, but all the information is in there. And if you want to go into the nitty-gritty and the detail, it will all be there. And like I said, I will be doing calls specific to the white paper. I'll record videos on specific areas of the white paper, but I'll do open calls as well on them where we can go into detail of any of this. So again, I've said it before, for a lot of people getting into a project, some people, I compare it to a car. Some people will get into a project and some people will get into a car and all they want to know is if I press the pedal and turn the steering wheel, that the car will drive down the road for me. And that's all they need to know. Some people just want to know, does the project work? That's all I need to know. Let's go. Does the car work? That's all I need to know. Let's go. Other people will want to see the engine, and some people will want to take the engine out apart, take it all apart and put it all back together. And that's what they're the people looking at the white paper and want to know exactly how it all functions. All the information is there, and we're happy to go through all of that. Okay. What else? I wanted to buy level 2. I tried earlier. I set up MNS, but I'm not sure how to actually complete the process of buying it. On the website or group, how to do. Could you maybe be an instruction video how to do it? I'm a beginner or not sure. What I would suggest there is if someone has tried it and failed or it's not working for them or there's something they're not sure of how to do, let us know. Send a Telegram message into the WoW team on the Telegram group, and they'll put you in touch with someone that might be able to help you through with that. But definitely make an attempt at it yourself. There is 1,000 videos on YouTube on how to do this on MetaMask, how to do that and the other. But the basic stuff is make sure you have Ethereum in your MetaMask because that's the gas fee. If you don't have Ethereum in there, MetaMask won't do anything. It'd be like having a car with no fuel in it. Looks great, but it won't do anything. You have to have Ethereum in there. That's the fuel. The charges come out of your Ethereum. The other thing, of course, is you need to have the USDC in there to actually pay for it. So if you're buying, I don't know, $1,000 or $988 NFT in level 1, for example, make sure you have that much in USDC in there. Not USDT, it has to be USDC. So check those things first. Also do it on a laptop. Far easier and more likely to work if you're doing it on a laptop. And also make sure that the website and the NFT or the MetaMask are both open on the same browser. In other words, open a tab, open your MetaMask, open another tab, open our website, have them on the same browser. Otherwise, they can't connect. So there's a few simple tips. And if it's not working after you've tried all of that, then get in contact or we can try and help you out. Same with NFT projects. Is there guaranteed whitelisting for the 1,000 or 5,000 NFT? Are the tokens usually locked in for a period of time? Where can we get information on this? Okay. Yes, they're locked in for a period of time. I've answered that since you put up the question. Information, website, and that we were just on, wealthofwisdom.io, the white paper's on there. So the answer to those questions, the first one I don't understand. Same with the NFT projects. Is there guaranteed whitelisting for the...
Viv,
Yes.
sorry, it's Lorraine here. It might be not clear from my message, but this is about the projects specifically that will qualify to participate in.
Yes.
Once we have the NFT and we're looking to participate in the projects that you bring to us,
Yes.
those specifically, when we're participating in those pre-launches, will there be requirements, or is it different with every project to lock in their tokens?
Yeah, everything is project by project. Again, we don't dictate what they offer. So we look at whatever project it is. More often than not, anything that we've bought into in the past, I'm just trying to remember now in various ones that we've done. More often than not, because they're not on exchange yet, more often than not, there isn't necessarily lock-in period, but there might be. Well, actually, yeah, no, there have been ones in the past. We've done, like, for example, we did VR Victoria, and we bought into that a couple of years ago now. When you bought into it, at TG, they were giving you 25% of your tokens, and the other 75% were locked for over the span of a year. But that's a project that did really well for us. It did 107x. So even with 25% of your tokens, you're up 26, 27 times your money that you could go on the market and sell and still have 3/4 of your tokens. So it's a sort of a no-lose situation where, like I said, you have a 26x and all these other tokens left over. So yeah, there's the lock periods and stuff like that is project per project. But of course, before you ever buy into any of them, you'll know what the details are. And then it's up to any individual whether to decide that's for me or not for me. So yeah, I get your question now. And I suppose just to reiterate, every project, they will dictate what their rules are. We will negotiate whatever we negotiate with them. And once that's brought to the community, then whatever the rules are, and people can make up their own mind if that fits their investment strategy or not.
That's great, thank you. I just wanted to know, they'll let us know in advance before we purchase their tokens, what the criteria is anyway.
Of course, absolutely.
Great, thank you. That's
No
very
problem.
useful.
Yeah, thanks, and thanks for the question. I think Solana's network would be the best as it's the next ETH and cheap yet logical, and it's got a big community. Yeah, there are all good reasons for Sol. Too much junk on Sol. There's another one against Sol. So yeah, I mean, look, there's a lot of people have very strong feelings about different projects out there and different blockchains, and of course there's many of there, but again, we feel very positive and very strongly about the one we've chosen. So again, we'll let you know what that is in the near future. What percentage of WOW tokens total supply will be released for public sale, and how is this done via exchanges? So okay, so obviously we had a number of our tokens available for in pre-sale. When we go to TGE, in essence, there's 5% of the total supply, which is a low number at TGE, that are going to be in circulation. And the reason I'm doing it like this is because of those, a big percentage are actually locked. So while they are given out in the TGE, so in theory, in circulation, a huge percentage of those aren't actually available to sell because they're locked within the smart contracts platform that we have based on what the people bought. So it's not like the people that bought it didn't notice. This was all the same way as anyone that wants to buy in now at the 4-cent price knows. 20% you'll get a TGE and you'll have the option to do whatever you want with them, but 80% will be locked and over a period of time. And people know that before, and then they make a decision whether that suits them or it doesn't suit them. If it doesn't suit them, they don't buy it, and that's fine. There's plenty of people out there that it is suiting. So again, we'll see how that goes. But as regards, that gives you an idea of percentages. And with regards to exchanges, there's particular liquidity made available to the exchanges. So if you want to go onto an exchange, you have to provide the liquidity to the exchange. And what that basically means is you have to have X number of your tokens, and you have to have X value in dollars in, for example, USDT or C, whatever pairing. So let's say we're saying we want to go on this exchange, and once they agree to let you on, and you pay a fortune of money to get you on there and fulfill loads of other things that they want you to do in order to get on the exchange. Once you get on there and do all of that, you didn't provide the liquidity. So, such a value of the tokens and such a value in USDC, for example. So then your pairing is WoW versus USDC. So now you have people that can go on with their token to sell it for USDC, or they can go on with USDC in order to buy the token. And that's your liquidity pairing. And and so obviously we provide coins based on what's required in whatever exchange you might be going on. So yes, that's, I suppose, the way you do that. Those tokens aren't counted in the circulating supply because they're locked into this overall contract. It's like a circular economy within that exchange, and the number of those tokens will rise and fall, but in essence, the balance of how much you have there over time will be about the same. And so that doesn't really come into the circulating supply because they're not in a position where, while they're being bought and sold, on average, they're going to, fluctuate up and down a bit as they go, depending on the buy and sell orders. But overall, you have roughly the same amount on there, and therefore aren't in your circulating supply numbers. Hopefully that answers that. When do you expect the first profit distribution for token holders? Okay, 2 ways to answer that, like everything else. The first answer is we haven't a clue, because it'll depend on when a project that we invest in becomes profitable, or we reckon that this is a good time to sell out. So you could have a project that's profitable, but we think it's going to go much higher. And if we're pretty confident in that happening, and bearing in mind we'll have constant communication between us and the project, so we have a pretty good idea what's happening behind closed doors, then we might make a decision, actually, okay, it's done a 5x or it's done a 10x, but we actually think it's going to do another 2 or 3 or 4 or 5x, then we may hold on for that. Or as good sort of advice to anybody, if it has done a 5x or a 10x, it might be worth selling enough to get your initial amount out, or maybe even a 2x or 3x back out of it, and let the rest ride for a bit longer. Again, it'll depend on by project to project. It'll depend on the circumstances that we see in the market. It'll depend on the project itself. It'll depend on what's happening in the WoW community. So there's many, many factors that will have us in a position to make that decision. The next thing I'll say is the majority of early stage crypto projects we buy into, it's long-term view. I mean, we're very much of the view to expect 12 months, 18 months, 24 months, whatever it might be on these early stage crypto projects. We very much are, very clear. What we do is investing, not trading. So we're not trying to buy something today and sell it in 3 days' time or whatever. That's not what we do. And as I've often said on here, if that's what you're looking for, you're in the wrong place. There are plenty of trading platforms out there, and if you can manage to do well with them, you'll be one of the first, and best of luck. I think it's something like 97% of people that trade in crypto lose money, so the odds aren't in your favor. But in what we do, the odds are, but you need to be patient. And I put up a quote in the group the other day from Warren Buffett, something along the lines of, the markets are a mechanism to move money from the impatient to the patient. The crypto markets are no different. You don't have to be quite as patient as you do in the stock markets, but patient nonetheless. But the patient people make the biggest money. Again, an example I've given a number of times before is people that bought into Solana as an ICO back, I think it was 2018, but whenever, I'm not exactly sure, but I think it was around then. From when they bought into it, for about 18 months, it did absolutely nothing. In fact, I believe it was going down in value. At the same time, other projects were, popping off, and there was money being made. And the question I would ask anybody is, if you were in that project, let's say, you put in a decent chunk of money, it meant a good bit to you, and that money was going down, and yet you see all these other projects were starting to move. Would you stay in your position? Would you hold? Well, if you knew enough about the project, had done your research, and had truly strong belief in it, you probably would, and possibly might even buy more as it goes down in value. But the people that did and held and went long term with it, they did 1100x, 11, not percent, x. In other words, you take the number you invested into it and you multiply it by 1100. You try that with any little bit of money, and what comes out is pretty nice. But only the patient people won. The people that didn't either didn't make anywhere near that money, or maybe even lost money if they lost faith. So what we're trying to get into people's mind here is, a lot of people come into crypto for the quick buck. I tried doing it myself. I learned some valuable lessons along the way, and they weren't pretty. And I won't go into all the details of that now, but I've certainly spoken about it before. The whole purpose of what we're doing here is, I've made all the mistakes. At least I hope they're all of them. I don't want to find any more of them, but we've made those mistakes. I've found out how to get away from all of that. And since 2019, I've had no loser. And again, I don't know anyone in cryptocurrency that can say that. I plenty them before that, and I got myself into some very bad positions on the back of bad decisions. But since then, it's been all good. And like I said, I don't know anyone else in crypto that can say that. And there's a lot of people in crypto. And we've had no go to zero projects since then. So that's a good position to be in. So I guess what I'm trying to say is patience wins here. Now, having said all of that, we are also now starting to give information on what we call low cap crypto projects. So projects that are on exchanges. So they're out there already. But we're doing research on those now too. We're giving information on those to the people in our private group, and they can go onto those exchanges, buy whatever amount of them they want to. We obviously suggest they, operate caution and DCA into them and take their time and don't go too nuts with them. They are low cap, so they're definitely at the higher end of risk, but the ones that will work really strongly. And so we've given a number of those out over the last 6-7 weeks, and we believe very strongly in those projects. I know someone put a message up in some group that I was in today saying, oh, I bought VR and, they're down, I don't know, 10% or 15% or whatever the number is. And, they were going, look, hopefully it'll come good. I'm looking at that message and I'm going, I hope you dollar cost average it in, because now you can buy them cheaper. And if you've listened to what we're saying, don't just listen to the bit, here's the project we like, listen to this bit, diversify and dollar cost average in. Because if they'd done that, they now would be buying some of those same tokens for cheaper, reducing their overall average. And I think it's more a case of when that project takes off, they're going to do even better. But anyway, even if they have put all their money in and it is down 10 or 15% now, if this coin goes to where I believe it's going to go, none of that's going to matter. But again, just my opinion. Okay. First, so did that actually answer that question? Not really. When do I expect the first profit distribution for the token holders? Again, we've invested in quite a number, wow, the company have invested in quite a number of projects on those. Again, all the ones that I've recommended. I mean, we don't recommend tokens to our community and not invest in them ourselves. Of course, we invest in them ourselves. That's the whole point of all of this. But we've invested money on behalf of WoW into these projects. One of those could take off tomorrow. I mean, as an example, I told people about AIOZ in I don't know, was it November last year, when it was under 2 cents. It went up to $1. So it did a 50x in, I don't know, 2 months. Not too bad. But again, just to be clear, it didn't go from 2 cents to $1. It went up and big down and up and big down. And the question is, do you keep a hold of it when it comes down as well? And if you do, great, you make it all the way up. But if you don't, then you probably sell out much earlier and maybe not make as much. But that's okay. You're still making money. Profit's profit, as they say. But yeah, look, there's every chance if the bull market kicks in next month, the month after, whenever it is, we could be playing out in 2 months' time, or 3 months' time, or 4 months' time. Who's to know? We'll see. Have you decided the APY for staking? Ooh, if you're listening to this call, you should know the answer to that. It's not APY. We're not offering, I don't know, 10% a year on the money that you're staking or whatever. That's not it. That's not what this is about at all. This is about when we buy into projects. Again, we're very different to other projects out there. This isn't staking for APY. And by the way, an awful lot of platforms do staking for APY. Don't last too long, but that's a different matter. I'm not saying all of them by any means. There's loads of very good projects out there doing that, but there's a hell of a lot of them not. But that's not what we're about at all. There's no APY. We are investing money into projects, and as we make profit from those projects, we're distributing that 20% of all of that to the token holders. So just to be clear, we have a completely circular economy here. We invest into a project, the project makes money, all going well. We take the profit, that profit goes to token holders. Obviously, that benefits token holders. We put 20% into finding new ways of making profit. That's going to benefit token holders. We put 10% to buy and burn, upward pressure on the value of the token, taking some of the tokens off circulation. That benefits token holders. And the other 50% we put back into investing into other projects, which all going well will make profit. And guess where that profit goes? Back into that same distribution channel. And guess who that benefits? The token holders. This is all built around making it profitable for token holders. That's the point. That's the community. That's what we're trying to do. And of course, everyone with an NFT has tokens because they get airdropped some. But I can tell you, everyone that has an NFT has bought a lot more tokens on top. So, APY for staking, right? Will we have transparency in all your buy and burn and project sales? So on the buy and burn, it will be on a public wallet. So buy and burn wallet will be public. And so anytime any money moves in or out of that will be seen publicly. So yes, absolute transparency. As regards to project sales, not only will you have insight into that, we'll be telling you before we do it. So for example, we're in project Y and we've put in X amount of money and the project has done really well and it's gone up 10, 15, 20X or whatever it is. We're going to come out and say, look, this project is doing well. We like it, blah, 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 whatever the information on it might be. And we might say, you know what, over the next while, we're thinking of selling a percentage of this. It might be 10%, 15%, 20%, 50%, 100%. I don't know, whatever it might be at the time. We're going to say, look, we're going to take some of this off the table at some period along the way. We're not going to say exactly when because that's insider information type of stuff, but we can put it into a program where it'll actually do it randomly and buy, you know, or sorry, sell X amount of it and it'll do that automated in a way that we won't even know. So it'll just do it in an automated way over, let's say, a month. So if we're in a project, we see ourselves as partners with those projects. We're not going to go onto an exchange, take everything we bought off them and just dump it and cause problems for the project. We're partners with them. We want them to do well. We want them to succeed. We wouldn't be investing in them at the start if that wasn't the case. So we're not going to go then and harm their project by just dumping a whole lot of it. So we'll work away, we'll dollar cost average out, which is good practice anyway. So we'll say, okay, maybe look, we should sell 10% of our position in this. We'll put it into an automated sell machine. It'll do that over maybe a month. So it won't just hit the market in one hit. We let our community know it as well. You can decide, okay, I'm going to sell 10% as well, or, oh, they're selling 10%, I'm going to sell everything, or they're selling 10%, but I'm happy enough with my position, I'll hold it for longer. I don't know. It's your choice. Again, like everything else in this, it's the community will make their own decision. You can decide what you want to do when you want to do it, but we will give you the information. Okay, that's all the questions that are there so far. If there's any other questions, feel free to unmute yourselves, ask a question or whatever. If there's no other questions, we'll call it at that. But I would say thanks to everyone that came on the call to listen. Thanks to the people that asked the questions, because it's the questions that really pull out the very best information. And so if anyone does have a question now's the time to shout. Either type it in pretty quickly or unmute yourselves and ask. I suppose the last thing I'll say is if anyone is interested in either buying an NFT or buying tokens, get in there now, particularly on the token side of things. It's going to close off very soon. I'm pretty confident that we won't see 4 cents too soon again, hopefully never again. But again, the market will decide that, not me. But with everything we have in place, I'd be pretty confident. But again, look, it could go down to a very low price. For all I know, I can't control that and won't try to control that. But everything you're aware of in the project so far is makes us very, very unique. And we're actually working on other stuff that will make us even more unique. So we're very confident of our position and where we're going from here. Regarding Mingo, you're in the Mingo chat group. The information is coming in there. So there's nothing new for me to add on here that's not already in there. No questions. Okay. Thanks everyone. Thanks everybody very much for coming on, taking the time. Thanks for the questions. Thanks, Linda, for helping with the call. Appreciate it.